Every single day, our lives are powered by this invisible engine. It's the labor of millions of people we never actually see. So today, we're going to dive into two stories from opposite ends of the world. One is about a farmer who's literally battling the sun, and the other is about a worker who's been pulled hundreds of miles from his home. Now, they seem completely different, but as we're about to find out, they are fundamentally connected.
I mean, just think about it. The vegetables on our tables, the buildings we live and work in, all of that is the bedrock of our modern lives. It's constant, it's absolutely essential, and it's happening right now as we speak. But here's the thing, we rarely see their struggle. There's this huge gap, right, between the convenience we all enjoy and the sacrifices they have to make. And that gap, that hidden cost of our world, that's what we're going to explore today. Okay, so for our first story, let's head over to the sun-scorched Imperial Valley in California. This is a place where the battle isn't just about harvesting crops, it's about making it through the day alive. This is where we meet Raul Cruz. His workday kicks off at 4 a.m., way before the sun even thinks about rising. His entire shift is a race against time, a strategic retreat from an enemy that gets stronger every single hour, the heat. He and his crew, they have to be done by 9 or 10 in the morning. Otherwise, the risk of heat stroke is just too high. And this is exactly why. Temperatures in this desert region just soar past 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and often before most of us have even had our first cup of coffee. This isn't just, uncomfortable. It's flat out dangerous. Now look at the scale of what's at stake here. This isn't some small farming town. The Imperial Valley is an absolute powerhouse. It supplies over 2/3 of all the vegetables eaten in the United States during the winter. So what that means is Raul's daily battle against the sun has a direct impact on the food that ends up on your plate. But here's the really critical part to understand. This problem is getting worse. This isn't just a story about a place that's already hot. It's about a place that's getting hotter at a really alarming rate. It's like climate change is just cranking up the heat on an environment that's already at its limit. So this gets into the science of why it's so dangerous. We've all heard about urban heat islands, right? Well, it turns out these huge open fields create their own rural version. With zero shade, the ground just soaks up and radiates heat. It becomes a giant hot plate, making the whole environment even more perilous for the people working on it. And this isn't just speculation. You've got researchers like Nicolas Lopez-Galvez on the ground, and they are sounding the alarm. They're using body sensors, satellite imagery, everything they can to map the intense physical toll this takes. The science is crystal clear. This is a looming public health crisis. And we are not talking about a handful of people here. Just last year, over 17,500 migrant and seasonal workers were employed in this one area. That's thousands upon thousands of lives directly in the path of this escalating climate threat. Okay, so now I want you to travel with me halfway across the world to Bihar, India. Here, the struggle isn't against the sun. It's against these massive economic forces that are pulling families apart. And this whole story gets thrown into sharp relief during Chhath, the region's most important festival, which, ironically, is dedicated to the sun god. What's fascinating is that during recent state elections, this festival became a political battleground. You had the ruling parties on one side, using these slick AI-generated videos to tell a story of empowerment and prosperity. And on the other side, you had the opposition, highlighting the real pain of forced migration, showing these overcrowded trains just packed with workers, desperate to get home for the holiday. So this, right here, is the story the ruling party was pushing. It's a narrative of self-reliance, right? It's designed to show that government programs are working, that they're empowering people, especially women, to thrive right there at home and celebrate their traditions with dignity. But then you get this, a completely different and really painful counter-narrative from the opposition. This quote is from a young man on one of those so-called laborer express trains. It paints a picture not of empowerment, but of total desperation. The argument here is that the real story is a lack of local jobs, which forces millions of people to leave their homes and their families just to find work. Okay, so on the surface, you have a farm worker in California battling extreme heat, and a construction worker from Bihar battling a broken economy. They seem like totally different worlds, don't they? Well, let's dig a little deeper and see how they connect. Let's just look at the parallels when you put them side by side. Both groups of workers are absolutely essential. One feeds a nation, the other one builds it. Both face a massive threat, one from a rapidly changing climate, the other one from a failing local economy.
And even their sources of hope are revealing. For one, it's about science and adaptation, trying to find ways to work safely. For the other, it's that powerful emotional pull of culture and home. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, it brings us to a really challenging question about the true price of our comfort and convenience. When you boil it all down, it comes to this. The stability of our lives is often built on the foundation of their instability. The food in our supermarkets, the roofs over our heads, they all carry this hidden cost. A burden that's borne by people like Raul in California and that young graduate on the train in Bihar. And that really leaves us with one last big question. We tend to talk about these issues in separate boxes, right? Climate justice over here, economic justice over there. But when you look at who is really on the front lines, the farm worker facing deadly heat, the migrant worker forced to leave home, you have to ask, are we actually looking at two different struggles? Or are they just two faces of the exact same fight?